Hey friends, hey family, welcome to another exciting episode of Glassjaw Gundi, Navigating Life's Vulnerabilities. I'm your host, Anda Shabalala, aka Gundi, and I appreciate you so much for tuning in. So listen, I got a very special guest with me in studio today. She is such a powerhouse, you guys. She's such a dynamic woman and she's got a beautiful soul. She's beautiful inside and out. Please just listen to this introduction, okay? When I say powerhouse, this is what I'm talking about. Just hold on to your knickers because this is going to blow your mind. So her name is Michelle Mokone. She is the co-founder of South African homeware brand Mo's Crib, which specializes in manufacturing sustainable handmade decor items. Michelle is also the co-founder of the Soul Sneaker Laundry. Academically, she holds an international master's degree from the University of Bern in Switzerland. And apart from being a dynamic entrepreneur with a multifaceted background, Michelle is a mother to a gorgeous 2-year-old baby girl, Luandle, and she's also a devout family woman. Miss Mushibudi, welcome to my podcast.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for making the time to come. I know you're such a busy woman, hey?
I know, it's crazy.
Okay, so I just gave like the LinkedIn introduction. Okay, if you look at her bio on LinkedIn, it's like so impressive. But I'm just curious to find out, how do you think like your close friends would introduce you? Like, are you goofy or you're like very like staunch and serious?
Wow, I actually wonder. I don't know. But I think that they'll probably think that I'm much more, a bit of both actually.
Yeah.
You know, goofy and staunch and serious.
Yeah.
I think because of my friends used to always say I'm the mother of the group. I guess.
Okay.
The serious.
Yeah,
the serious
so
one.
the serious one.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, but you do seem like a girly girl, you know, like a girl's girl. And I think that at some point you had like a hair care business or something like that. I read something like that.
I know, yes. Wow. I mean, I wonder where you found that out. But yes, I used to have a hair care business. You know what? Entrepreneurship is always something that has always been at the back of my mind, subconsciously. But I think it's because I grew up in an entrepreneurial home. My dad was an entrepreneur. And so my sister had a friend who she met in France.
Okay.
And the gentleman used to sell hair, and then he wanted to branch out in South Africa, and I thought, and I put my hand up and said, listen, I will do it.
Yes.
And I took it so seriously because he came to South Africa with some hair, and I took it so seriously. I mean, at the time I was studying full time. I was still doing my undergraduate at the University of Pretoria, and I found myself in the streets of Sandton, Rosebank, selling hair, and I met the biggest people in the game.
Yeah.
And then they were actually buying my hair, like people like Lajawi. Hey,
I
I used to supply them with hair. So yes, I did that for a bit of time. Until I don't know, I can't remember what really distracted me away from it. But essentially I did. I was.
I guess you evolved. Okay, so while we're on the topic of hair and beauty trends, I just want to ask you a few this or that questions just to break the ice a little bit and get to know you a little bit more now. Okay, so are you more of a braids girl or a wigs girl?
Definitely braids.
Nah.
Yes.
Yeah. But have you had wigs?
I had
before?
a wig, yes, and I really
at...
don't want to go back to that era.
Yeah.
So this happened just shortly after I had my daughter, and I had some hair loss, and I had to cut my hair. I was not. I mean, I'm fairly comfortable with short hair, but then sometimes I just wanted to shape my hairstyle a little bit. But there's just so much you can do with short hair. I mean, I couldn't do braids.
Yes,
I couldn't do a sew in. So I was like, okay, wig.
Yeah.
And it just was not working for me.
Like, what was it? The glue, the lace glue. Yeah.
I just do not have time.
Gosh.
Like I just wanna get up and go.
Yeah.
And so the whole glue fixing thing, and then when I did my wig, and I realized that after 3-5 days, I have to go back to the salon or I have to stick it on my hair again. I was like, what is this?
It's very time consuming.
Yes, and I just didn't like just how it looked. So I'm definitely a braids girl.
Same. I'm also a braids girly, but I mean, to the women who like the wigs, they look nice. I mean,
yes, I mean, some women really have time for it. So I really think you need to have time for it. Yes. You know, it really looks nice. It has its people.
It does. Okay, so are you more of a full glam, soft glam, or sometimes it's no makeup, but when you have to go makeup, full glam or soft glam?
Soft glam.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, full glam can get too much, nah?
It really can, especially with the, eyeshadow, etc. Like it can get a little bit too much.
Like a little broom.
And you know what? My makeup artists always say I'm a little bit boring because I always ask for the smallest, most, simplest lashes, and they're like, that's boring.
Yes.
Definitely soft glam. Yeah. I'm a simple girl.
Same here. I remember once I went to get my lashes done, and I always do like the classic lashes.
Yes.
So it's just like the simple ones.
simple one.
And then like 12 millimeters,
Yeah.
not like 14. And they're like, really? Don't you want a hybrid? Don't you want something?
Exactly. And it's like,
I was
okay.
like, no, I'll just
Yeah.
stick to the classic. Okay, so I know you're very active. So are you more like going to the gym, or would you rather take the easy way out and just get like cosmetic surgery? Because, I mean, you look snatched. I just want to know.
I don't think I look snatched, but thank you very much. No, definitely not full gym. I mean, I remember before having my daughter, I actually went to gym for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And I was very intentional about it. And I was like, I'm going to go to gym because I'm planning on being a mom very soon. So
Yes.
when I do become a mom and I gain weight,
Yeah.
gym should not be that hard for me.
Yes.
Became pregnant, and for some, like, how pregnancy can be complicated. I couldn't gym
Yeah.
while I was pregnant, and I gained quite a lot of weight. I think I did. And I tried going back to gym, and it just was not the same.
Yeah.
I think I tried 3 different gyms, and it just did not work out. And also, I think I have quite a hectic schedule, and I don't like gymming in the mornings.
Is it?
So I'd force myself to go gym in the afternoons, and it just never worked out, right? Because I have to
Okay.
go home, cook, and it just never worked out. So now I prefer walking, and I think walking is so much better. You are in nature, and it's just serene. I love hiking,
Yes,
so that's also how I
hiking,
keep
yeah.
fit. And we just recently got a treadmill, and I think that works better. So I just wake up in
Yeah.
the morning that I don't need to leave the house. I don't need to drive anywhere. I just do it 35 or 40 minutes, and then I'm done, and I can just start my day. So
Yeah. Yeah, the gym can be like too much. I also took like a bit of a hiatus from gym for many years. I recently got my membership again, but I haven't been in like 2 weeks already. And I'm
You
just
see?
like, my goodness. Because there's like no time.
There's just no
But if you
time.
have like your little stepper at home, or you can walk around in a
Yes.
friendly neighborhood,
Yeah.
that's actually so much more
yeah,
peaceful.
I think that's just better.
As long as you get in your 10,000 steps a day or whatever
Exactly.
it is, then you're
You see?
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, lastly, so what beauty trends or standards do you think should be left behind in 2024?
Oh my goodness, do I even know much? You mentioned something that I'm a girl, and I'm like, am I a girl? I don't think I am. Beauty, okay. I definitely think that the whole very dark lip liner should just be left.
Yes.
In
Also,
2024.
because we borrowed
Because-
that from the 90s, and
Yes.
then we like try to bring it
We
back.
tried to bring it back.
So you like,
and
no
so I
dark
saw
lip
that it was
liners.
coming back, and people did, and I understand the whole thing about lining your lip. It looks very nice, and it just blends, the lipstick very well. But
Yes.
sometimes they do it very, very dark, and I think the dark one should just be left in
Okay.
2024. Don't come at me, guys. I
No,
don't know
this
much
is
about
your
beauty.
opinion.
Yes, that's just my opinion.
Yes, and you're not saying that it doesn't look good.
Yes.
You're just saying like we should
Yeah,
evolve. Just like how
exactly.
we've evolved from highlighting and contouring and the thick eyebrows and all of
Yes,
that
I mean,
stuff.
some things would just, it just makes us look a little bit.
Okay, enough with all the faffing around. Let's talk serious business.
Yes.
Please tell me about your childhood. Where did you grow up? How did you grow up? And how was your childhood like?
I am the last of 4, so I'm the last one. I'm the youngest at home.
Okay.
And I grew up in Mabopane. Well,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
in
I lived
Pretoria.
there for 5 years. Yes, Mabopane
Okay.
is in Pretoria. It's a township in Pretoria,
Mm-hmm.
or location
Yes.
in Pretoria. And, shortly after that, we moved to the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
But we like saying that we come from Mabopane, and I remember it so distinctively. I mean, I left when I was 5, and my memory of Mabopane is still so fresh,
Yes.
there was a lot that I've learned, from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it was quite a very beautiful dynamic, home where I grew up. I had both my mom and dad.
Yes.
Like I said, my dad was in business, and my mom was a nurse, and she also loved dabbling in entrepreneurship during that time.
Okay.
And yeah, I grew up in a very loving home.
All right.
I
that's
went to all my life. I grew up in Pretoria. I went to
Yeah.
primary in Pretoria, high school, university in Pretoria, and yeah, I really think that my upbringing was it was a warm home, very safe,
Mm-hmm.
and all my siblings we were just so close. I had 2 older
Yes.
brothers and a sister, so my parents had the best of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and essentially that was my upbringing. I mean, when I think about it, when I just think about it, I just think of a very, very happy, safe environment where there was just so
Yes.
much joy, and we just all loved one another and would share stories, and we were very close knit. So there was not, I mean, for a very short time, we used to have a lot of family visits, etc. But somehow when I ended up growing up, it was just us, just 6 of us. And one question that we always, probably going to go to the sad part here, but one question I remember, we'd always sit around the table and we're like, we wonder who's going to die first, you know. And the funny thing is that but my older brother was the first one to
Is it?
pass on. Yeah.
Okay, so now there's 3 siblings left.
Yes, there's 3
Okay.
siblings left. My mom passed away in 2017 from breast cancer, and my dad passed away in 2022, so not so long ago, and it was a stroke.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how you talk about your childhood and how you light up when you're talking about your childhood, because most of the time within Black families, when we asked about our childhood, it's always, well, most of the time, it's like stories of struggle and strife. So it's good to know that there are people who grew up in a safe environment, and now they're all grown up and they are continuing to create safe environments for their children and other children like that. So
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it's great that you got to
absolutely.
experience that
I
loving,
did, but
warm house.
I mean, there were definitely some challenges. Of course, they were. I mean, we went through so many challenges. My dad, his businesses, he really struggled early on. I mean, he was doing really well. He was in sand mining, and he had like investors at the time.
Yes,
and
that
his
was in
business
the
just-
90s,
yes,
right? For
that
a
was in the
Black man to
90s.
be
exactly
in business.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was quite rare.
Yeah.
So he was doing really well for some time, but then his businesses, somehow failed. And that was the beginning of some really, really, really challenging times. I remember at some point we were cooking because we did not have electricity, and we had to make pap on the braai stand because of that was the only form of energy you could have to cook at the time, and it was just that day. And shortly after that, my mom decided, listen, I need to go to London because of my salary here cannot sustain. So, and I don't know, I didn't mention this, but from the age of 12, my mom actually left. She left her children. She went to London to go and live there, and she lived there for 6 years. So she only came back when I was in matric. And so that whole time I had that gap, and I grew up with my dad took care of us that whole time, and I grew really, really close with my dad. My sister later on went on to join my mom when she completed her matric, and I used to visit, and they asked me if I should stay, if I wanted to stay, and I was always like, no, I don't want to stay, I want to go back home.
Yeah.
And I think I was very attached to my dad as well, very very attached to him. And so I had the joys of just getting so close to him during that time. When my mom came back home, I also definitely had that time to catch up, but of course I used to visit her, and so we had some challenges. But I think my mom was such a resourceful woman, and she made sure, because she could see, and she was quite proactive, and she could see that if I just linger on in the situation for long enough, it's not going to look good for my children. We're not going to be able to go to school. And so she acted as fast as she could, and she got a lot of scrutiny from her friends during that time that why would you leave your children with your husband, who's going to raise your girls? But she did what was best for her at that time. And what we didn't know was that she was making a very big investment to create, sort of like making us global citizens, because my sister ended up really traveling the world. My sister lived in London, she lived in Switzerland, we lived in Switzerland at some point, my sister and I, and so she really sort of opened doors. She did, she really did, just beyond taking us to school. It really just went beyond that.
So just touching on your mom again a little bit, I think her name was Alice.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys named your holding company of your businesses, which we're going to get into, after her. Was that in honor of her, or? I mean,
she was actually still alive when we named it the Alice Group. And I remember it was in 2015 or 2016. I think it was 2016 when we registered the company. And I mean, she was suffering from cancer during that time, but I think that we wanted to let her know that she has just created such a legacy, in us. And we were not even thinking, oh, you're going to die next year, because she died a year later. But it was just for us to let her know, listen, your name is going to be so big because you created a legacy. And, because she really did. She really created a very, very big impact beyond just her children. But then my mom used to, when they were like, rubbish collectors coming to collect rubbish, she would make sure that she makes bread for them, and then when they come and collect bread, she would give them bread. And those are the small things that we don't recognize that they are legacy. We just think, it's just a nice gesture.
True.
But I think that legacy is, sometimes when you're just randomly thinking, that person helped me that day. I wonder where they are now.
Yes.
That's what I consider legacy.
And so, that's what people remember. Exactly.
Yeah,
that is
those
your
little
legacy.
small things.
How you
it's
made
not
people feel.
How you made people feel. Exactly. It's not some street named after you. I mean, it can be that as well, but
Yeah.
it's not just that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we see a lot of statues of people who supposed to have who have left behind this big legacy, but the way they made us feel wasn't really good.
Exactly. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yes, you've seen
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay, no, great. So then you studied in UP before you went to Switzerland. Can you tell us about your UP days? I know you did an undergrad in agricultural economics.
Yes, I did. Now, the funny thing is that I went to an art school in high school, and I did hospitality, so that was my art subject.
Okay.
And I loved it so much, I wanted to be a chef because I was really doing well. I was winning competitions for the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said, okay, that's nice. But I mean, you're going to be working during holidays and
Yeah.
cooking on Christmas Day. Are you
Yes.
sure? And it's long hours. And I'm like, yes, I'm very sure about it. She's like, okay, I think that you should really just think about something else. And at the time that she was saying that to me is because I had won, sort of like a scholarship, but it was just covering the accommodation and not the tuition. The tuition was very expensive. It was in Cape Town. And my mom was like, I'm not going to afford this, And also because of NSFAS can't approve, it's a private institution, so you can't apply for NSFAS.
Yes.
And so she discouraged the idea, and I don't think it's more from a financial point of view, but I think she was just not sure of, the career choice. Not that I would have not made a success out of it. I guess it was just her own opinion of it. And so I couldn't go to the institution. Mm-hmm. And so I had to look at what else I could do. And then it was in 2009 that I, had sort of like an unplanned gap year.
All right.
And it was, one of my saddest years because of, I saw all my friends go to university and here I was at home.
Just like
and
in limbo.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. And at that time I was helping a friend of mine because they were, studying, and I was studying with them. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but I was just studying with them at sometimes.
Filling up your time.
Yes, and they were doing business management. And I was like, this is interesting. I like business management. And then I thought, well, because I wanted to be a chef, something that's linked, it's a very funny idea that I had in my head.
Yeah, you're going to grow your own
Chef
food.
is connected to agriculture, and so I need to just go and study.
No, it actually makes complete sense.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, you must grow the food that you're going to cook.
And so when I went to university and I looked at the prospectus, I saw agribusiness management, and I thought, wow, I mean, hello.
Yeah, it's a sign.
Come on. And so that's how I got to study agriculture economics. And then I chose that as a subject. And then 2010, luckily I was able to go to University of Pretoria, which was such an exciting year for me. And that's how and so essentially that was my journey. Very, very difficult journey, but I was so determined. I remember in my second year, I did not have, at the time, NSFAS was not as organized as it is today.
Yes.
And so I found myself not, because of, if you have not registered, if you have not paid your registration fee, you literally can't register for the year, right? So I had not paid my registration fee. I think it was something to the sum of 6,000 rand.
Yes.
And my mom, since my dad lost his business, he had never worked. I mean, he had his liquor store, but nothing stable. So essentially, my mom was a single parent.
Basically.
I mean,
single income household.
Exactly. They later on separated, not actually in legal divorce, but they separated. So yes. And so she could not, 7,000 rand in January, that's quite a lot of money. And at some point, I think that was what she was earning, because she came back to South Africa to work, and she was a project manager for a clinic. Yeah. And I think she was earning around 7,000 rand. So to pay that as a registration.
Because if you think about salaries in 2009 for nurses, that is probably what they were earning at the
exactly.
time.
So that was, too much for her to pay as a registration. And so I didn't pay registration. And because I couldn't pay registration, I couldn't go into the library. So I only had to study at King so I had to study at the student center in restaurants, and so I studied at King Pai. King Pai was, the less populated, food court area at the student center, and that's why I would study. And I remember going. I would just be on let me go try and see where I can get someone to pay for my fees or my registration.
Okay. And
I went into the office of some lady. She said to me, but you could be a model. And I thought to myself, when am I even going to start? How much am I even going to get paid? You're not helping me.
Yeah.
And one day I was on campus and I was just like, God, I really need you to help me out. So I went now again to one of their offices, and I got into the other gentleman's office, and he said, you know what? It's not the first time you come here. Let's register you.
Okay.
And he registered me. He gave me my registration form. And that same minute I left school, I went to my mom's office and I put that paper in front of me. I'm like, I'm registered, lady.
Yeah.
And NSFAS ended up coming on later on in the year.
Yes.
But that just goes to show how determined I was to get that degree. It was not easy, but I really, really was determined. And I mean, even when we were writing exams, you can't go, because I actually got the registration in May, around May, because I was like, June is approaching. I will not be allowed in the exam center if I don't have my student card. And I could not access the portal where you get all the study materials. So I had to go from teacher to teacher to tell them, listen, I'm not registered. You're going to have to print these for me. So I had to negotiate. So from like
basically February all the way up to like May,
I was not registered.
Yes.
Negotiating with the teachers to say, you have to give me the study material, or asking my friends to print it for me. And whenever we had to see the test results, because with midterm tests, you don't need to show your student card. The teacher knows you. And so I would go into that easily, and then they would just, show me what my results were, etc. So it was not easy, but I really was determined. And
sheer determination.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And then you graduate with your undergrad, and now you're off to Switzerland.
No. Graduated my undergrad, and then I got a job opportunity at a company called Russell Stone. They're actually an agricultural company.
Okay.
Dealing with, grain. And then when I got there, I thought, oh, that's amazing. I mean, this is great. I mean, I just completed in June.
Yes.
July, I'm in this job. And then they take me to another department. I'm like, no, guys, but I want to go to the agriculture department. Like, no, they don't have space there, so you have to go to the coal department. And there I was, I started out at the accounts side of things, doing finance, which I did not enjoy, because finance is something I don't like. And then I ended up getting promoted as a logistics coordinator, and I was one of the first female logistics coordinators. So my job was basically to arrange transport for coal transportation from the mine to the customer, whatever customer that is, if you're like a steel melter or a farm, etc. And I enjoyed it. And
so sorry, just to interrupt. So even though you didn't like the job in the finance department, you carried on up until the point where you got promoted to something that you actually do like.
Yes.
And that's such an important lesson, because most of the time, if people who don't like their job, they'll just quit and be like, well, that's not for me. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. Yes, that's very true. Right. Yeah. So I'm very resilient. And I do think that at the time, I mean, millennials are certainly very much more different to how we were we had much more resilience than now.
Yeah.
I stayed and I got promoted, and I started enjoying this job, and I learned a lot of things. I mean, I was looking for at that job from an entrepreneurial mindset. I remember we would have the truck companies come. They would obviously want to, sell their business to us. Like, you should use my truck company. And I would be asking them questions about their business. Like, so when did you start your business? And how's it going? And I didn't know at the time that I really wanted to actually be a business owner.
Yes.
More than just an employee. And so, so essentially that was my journey. Then I realized, no, I want to actually do something in agriculture. I really want to do that. 2.5 years later, I got a job.
Okay.
Now as an agricultural economist, and I was like, this is amazing. I mean, my things are so aligned. This is great.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good pay. I couldn't complain. And I got there and I realized my phone never rang. I would write articles. So I was almost like I was a journalist.
Okay.
Articles on how the agricultural economic landscape is looking in South Africa.
Right.
And it was research based. And I remember my boss from the logistics from the coal company told me, "You're not gonna love that. You just want to speak to people. You are more operations, And I was like, no, bye. I'm done with you guys." And so I found myself not loving the job. And so my white counterpart was a male Afrikaner, also in the same job as me. And his phone was ringing on the whim. And he was so busy. And I learned that the farmers preferred to just really speak to him than me. Because he had practical experience. He was an Afrikaner. They could speak Afrikaans. And I am this black woman. And I was just there, I don't know. Yeah. And so essentially, when I left the company, my boss then said to me, well, if you could just put us in touch with another black agricultural economist, so that they can be able to really just be for the media, etc. And I realized, wow. So I was really just here for the media.
Yeah. So you were just like what, an affirmative action recruit?
Basically, I really was. And so
so discouraging that you had all the accolades, all the experience, the knowledge, but I mean, it's who you are, basically. That
Exactly,
gets
right?
you the calls, you know?
Exactly.
Wow.
And so, but I was very happy to leave because this happened. I mean, I resigned about a month after my mom passed away. So my mom passed away in December 2016.
2017.
No, 2017, December 2017. And my sister at the time was had an opportunity to move to Switzerland to work at the Nestle headquarters in Switzerland. And, you know, prior to my mom passing away, she told my sister, you know, I think she could see that it was the end of life for her. If, like, you know, you need to take your sister with you. And so I then got the opportunity to go and live in Switzerland and pursue my my master's. In the year that I was working as an agricultural economist, I did my honors at the University of Pretoria in agriculture economics.
Yes.
And so then that's when I got the opportunity to do my honors when I was living in Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Switzerland for? About 2 years?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it not like a culture shock? I mean, isn't it cold there?
It certainly was. And I realized, you know, that I really love South Africa. It was a culture shock because, first of all, we were the minority. And so it was very weird to just like see 1 or 2 black people once a week.
Yeah.
So it was quite weird and different. And one thing we noticed, I mean, listen, I don't know if it was just our thinking or that was actually what was happening.
Okay.
But we found ourselves in a situation where when you are in the aisle, it didn't happen a lot of times, but it's, you know, there were certain instances, especially in grocery stores, you are in the aisle and a white person sees you on the aisle, he will not step on that aisle. He's going to go in the other aisle and look for something else. And so I was just like, I do not know how it's gonna go for me here. I don't see a future. And
that's not so long ago, hey?
No.
2018, 2017.
Yeah, that's now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't think there's gonna be much of a future here for me. And I really was missing home a lot. I was missing my dad a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I think I'm gonna go home. So we came home, and obviously part of that decision was also fueled by the fact that we wanted to push our business full time.
Yeah.
And so that's why we decided to come home.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Switzerland is a culture. I'm
but
sure it's
beautiful.
A great country. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's so stunning.
Yeah.
It's really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Very expensive. But yeah.
Okay. So I was going to ask, so then you came back from Switzerland and that's when you guys pursued your entrepreneurial journey. Is that correct?
That's when we did it full time because the entrepreneurial journey, I would say it started in 2016 when we went to the market. So it was in 2015. We were now visiting the market as just visitors.
This is now what is it?
Kamers
market.
Yes,
okay.
It's now called Kamers Makers, and at the time it was called Kamers Volksgeschenke, which means...
What is it? This is like a big market in Pretoria. I'm assuming...
Not just Pretoria. It's actually... They have the market in Cape Town, in Stellenbosch, in Pretoria, Joburg. So they move around these areas. I think at the time they tried to make it in Durban. I don't know if Durban worked out well. I'm not sure. But essentially, they just do it around, you know, these big cities. And, you know, there was just so much insight from that market. At the time, a friend of mine who was working at the coal company was exhibiting his products there. He was selling dog products. And I decided to visit him at the market and to support him.
Yes.
And you know, a friend of mine disappointed me, couldn't go with me. So I said to my sister, please join me. Let's go to the market. And she joined me at this market. And I mean, I was just there for Instagram and to support my friend and just take nice cool pictures. But my sister really saw a business opportunity. At the time, she was making origami swan sculptures. So she's a natural born artist. And she learned how to make these origami swans from her roommate in London when she lived there. And it's a Japanese art form of folding paper.
Yes.
And this origami swan is made from 680 pieces of individually folded paper. So it takes quite a lot of time.
Patience as well.
And it's a very beautiful product. And so she thought to herself, wow, because she saw somebody making roses out of newspapers and the person was selling the roses. And she's like, wow, so people are buying these roses made from newspapers. Imagine what would happen if I brought my swans here. And she thought, okay, I'm going to bring my swans here. A year later, we were there. And, you know, the roles just aligned because at the time, when we actually started that market, I was just about to start my new job as an agricultural economist at that grain company. And then, you know, I was helped, so I had enough time because of, you know, I had some free time. So I was helping at the market, basically helping with the logistics and the operations of it. And then she was then, you know, doing the products, etc. And, you know, investing in the market. And what we thought was just going to be, it's just for fun. It's just for 5 days. Let's just see how it goes. really became a phenomenon.
Yeah.
She won the best product of the market with that product, the best new product of the market. And I mean, what we also learned at that market was that a lot of people were telling us about how this product was, you know, environmentally friendly. It was made from recycled, paper. And we thought, this is really serious. I mean, people really love the fact that, you know, things are sustainable. And,
yes.
And so we thought, well, this is clearly where the market is going, you know, and maybe we should just pay more attention to that.
Yeah.
You know, it was a phenomenon. I mean, the products sold out at that market.
Yeah.
We did a follow. So we continued doing follow-up markets whenever they were in Pretoria. So they're not in Pretoria the whole year. So it was just like in September and December.
Yes.
So we did the September one, we did the December one. The following year, 2017, now this is when my mom would pass away.
Yeah.
We did that market. And on the last day of the market, which was a Sunday, that was the day that our mom passed away.
Sure.
And in that particular market in 2017 December, we decided to introduce a new product. Okay. And that was a recycled PVC water pipe basket, which is our flagship product.
Okay. So initially, was it just the swans?
Correct. It was just the swans for the two shows that we had done in 2016. 2017, we decided, no, in addition to the swans, let's also introduce this PVC because it's environmentally friendly. It's made from recycled PVC water pipes. We're saving the environment. We're saving plastic. And it's also quite a steady and functional product, you know, for the home. Because the people that were buying the swans, in our idea, it was just going to be used to put some stationery in there. But they were coming up with these great ideas like, oh, I use it as a plant, to put my little plant in there. And we thought, wow, it's a functional product, you know?
Yes.
And so the follow-up product had to definitely take those characteristics. And the PVC did exceptionally well as well with the swans. And we thought, you know what, we are onto something.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the last day of the market, my mom passed away. But we continued to sell. I was with her in the hospital. After she passed away, I went back to the market, told my sister what's happening, but we had, I think, about 2 hours after the show.
Yes.
We continued to compete the market.
Oh, is it?
And then, I mean, life was different from then on. That's when, I mean, my sister was due to move to Switzerland the next year. And we were living, I mean, it was with the three of us, you know, my mom and my sister and I. And so it was going to be weird of me staying alone in that house. And so I thought, no, I think I should definitely pack up. And I was certainly very excited because it means that I could, you know, try something new, leave the job where I really just didn't feel like I was adding a lot of value. I really wanted to add value and I felt like I wasn't. It was an opportunity for me to finally leave that job. And so that was, you know, the beginning of a very interesting adventure. I don't regret Switzerland at all.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
And do you feel like this whole process, you moving to Switzerland for this business venture and this business venture in general, just like helped you navigate the grief and the loss of your mom?
It did. It really did. You know what? It was a very good distraction for us. I call it a distraction because later on in the year of 2018, we just found ourselves, you know, really grieving. And we realized that in the beginning of the year, we didn't. We just
time to
hit the ground running and we're like, oh, you know, we're exploring this new city and city hopping and country hopping as well. And so we realized that we actually now are grieving. And I remember I just went on a social media sabbatical, and, you know, for a very long time. And it really centered us. And I think while we found ourselves in Switzerland, we were actually doing markets. So we continued to do markets in France. Selling the swans because the PVCs are just too bulky to ship.
Yes.
And so we would buy the raw material in South Africa. A friend of ours would ship it to Switzerland, and she would make the swans. And we thought, oh my goodness, we just can't let go of this, you know. And we'd have customers call us wanting the PVC baskets. And we thought, okay, you know what? Let's do this market in December. Let's go to South Africa, do the market. And if it does well and we sell out, we're going to come back to Switzerland, save each and every single penny. Once I'm done with my master's, we move back home and we do this full time.
You know, I was going to ask you, what do you think the defining pivotal point was when you decided to leave like a proper job and go full-time into entrepreneurship. But when I'm listening to you speak and I'm looking at you, I feel like it's literally like in your blood, like it's in your DNA from your dad, but also just like you're so passionate about it, because I cannot imagine like just moving my whole life to Switzerland to sell like origami swans. But you guys, like, I feel like it was your destiny. Like it was that.
It was, right? Because my sister had a very comfortable job. She had no business being at a market selling swans. Like she had a very, very good job in at Nestle. And so it really, really was in our blood. And we always knew that we wanted to be entrepreneurial. We actually have pictures today that we look at of like 2014. Yeah. When we are walking into a Woolworths home and we are, you know, sort of like not impressed with the baskets that they have.
Yeah, I was like, I can do that.
We could do it better. And so you can see that it's something that's really always been at the back of our minds, you know, and it really was a calling. We just had to answer to that calling. No matter where we went, it was just following us. I mean, you have customers in South Africa WhatsApping you saying, hi, I really want the baskets.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You know.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just so now ushering Mo's crib. So I'm just going to give a little background of how I actually met you. It's such an interesting story. So I think this was in 2019, and I was working for a company that funds small businesses. Was it COVID year?
It was.
Okay, it was probably at the beginning though.
Yes, it was in the beginning.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of 2020, right? Yes. It's actually not that long ago. Hey?
No.
Yeah, so I'm looking for clients, whatever. I don't even know how I even got your number or what had happened. But what I do remember is that I'm driving from Joburg to Pretoria to meet these two sisters who are selling baskets, and they're obviously looking for financing.
Yes.
And I remember I drive into your neighborhood and to your complex or whatever, and you even showed me the origami swan. Like you had like a little sample. And your sister Mo, she's so passionate about her business, eh?
Extremely. She is so passionate. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And that was in 2019. And if I can just say, at that time, Mo's crib wasn't really known. I remember you telling me stories like, we literally trying everything right now. We are calling businesses on Rocket Reach and
yes,
because at the time you guys had like nothing like at the time, you know.
We did not even have furniture. Yes. I don't know if you remember, but I mean our curtain was like some cloth. Yeah,
I do remember. I mean, yeah, I was like, wow. And I think I remember you saying something like, you know, we have like 1,000 rand only.
We needed your help.
Yes. And then, you know, I went back and I told my mom, and I was like, I met these two ladies. They've got a business. They only have 1,000 rand, but they're going to do it. And then 5 years later, you guys are in Target in the USA.
Crazy.
You guys are in Woolworths. Please just like walk me through your journey with Mo's Cribs over the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yes. I mean, you know, you take me back to that time and it's actually quite funny.
Yeah.
It was COVID time. And so essentially when we came back to do the business full time, we thought that markets will be enough. Like, we're just going to do markets and we're going to make it. We knew nothing about investment. We didn't even know that there was anything such as, you know, equity investment. We knew absolutely zero. And so we thought that the savings that we had come back to South Africa with will be enough. And we went to, you know, we had two strategies. We're going to go to New York Now, which is an international trade show. We're going to showcase our PVC baskets and the swans. And we're going to be picked up by one of these big retailers like an IKEA or something.
Yeah.
Check. Now, plan number 2, we're going to continue with the markets. And the markets are going to make us good money. And yeah, that's our business. Then we made it, you know?
Yeah.
Then we came home. We stuck to the plan. We did that. And, you know, New York Now, we literally invested all of the money that we came back home with. And when we were at New York Now, we going there with the idea that we're going to come back with, you know, some international orders. And we went home with not a single order. Actually, at some point we were homeless. And we called a friend of ours who we knew. She was an au pair, but now she, you know, her life has evolved, and she then got us, you know, a place to stay overnight at a basement of, you know, her friend's house. And we didn't walk away with any orders in New York now, but we walked away with an award of the best product of the market for the PVC basket.
Okay. Yeah.
And in South Africa, when we did these markets, we realized that, oh no, the money is actually not enough to sustain us. When we were doing the markets, the money was enough because we had our salaries. But now we don't have that salary. And so we are struggling. And that's when we thought the best way for us is to actually just go wholesale.
Okay.
We have to go wholesale and we have to go volume because that's how we are going to survive.
Yes.
And so we called all the, retailers. I mean, I remember at some point we called Woolworths, and they were very amazing. And they said, no, we love it. We love the idea. Please come and see us. And we went to see them. And essentially, that's how the journey started. I mean, we called everybody you can think of. And so we obviously started at Builders Warehouse first. Then Woolworths was the second place where we actually sold our products. And that happened around around September of 2020. So just after COVID.
Yes.
And then in December of that year, we launched at Mr. Price Home.
Yes.
And so that's how the journey began. And I think after we really just kicked off with the Woolworths, it really just things, stabilized because of then, well, not necessarily stabilized at all, but we then were able to then get out of our house because we were supplying from the garage. I mean, remember when you came, we had products in the garage and we were supplying out of the garage. And then the nice thing with Builders Warehouse that you were delivering, so they couldn't see where you're picking the product from. Yeah. But Woolworths was picking up from your home, and they said, "Ladies, you will need to get a warehouse because."
I mean, this is Woolworths, really.
Yeah, this thing is not going to work.
Yeah.
We went to storage for a while. They said, "Okay, we see you trying, but not going to work."
Okay.
So we had to get a warehouse. And so we got a warehouse, and from then on, we were able to then take on employees because of Woolworths kept us so busy. Mr. Price Home kept us so busy. And at the time we were at Mr. Price Home, we realized we don't need Builders anymore because, it's selling so well. It's the same product doing so very well at Mr. Price. So let's just focus on these two customers. And it's important for me that I was mentioning the New York now because I wanted to indicate that we were very intentional with the fact that we wanted to create an international business. And so what happened is that during COVID, at the time they were probably calling you guys as well.
Yeah.
My sister rang up, wrote an email to Crate & Barrel and some, other big international retailers in the US. And Crate & Barrel responded on the spot. Really? And then asked for samples. We sent samples through. And in 2021, June, we sent our first container to the USA. And
I mean, obviously you use the recognition that you got from the market in New York as like leverage. Like, okay, correct. Although we didn't walk away with any orders, but hey, look, we were recognized for this fantastic product that
exactly.
we have.
So that worked both internationally and locally because what I didn't mention to you, because there's so many stories with Mo's Crepes. In 2017, when my mom was still alive, February, we took a flight to Durban. After I had emailed Mr. Price and I told them about the PVC basket, which we had not yet sold at the market, by the way. Okay. And they said, "Oh, that looks beautiful. Please just come and see it." So we flew with this basket, and they looked at it and they said, "You know what? We don't think you guys are ready for the market. It's beautiful, but I don't think it's ready." And so, we went home sad, but we thought, we'll probably connect sometime in the future. Yeah. So the same buyer that we met in 2017 read that we won the best product of the market in New York for this basket that she said was not ready for the market. Yeah. And that's how we ended up now going to Mr. Price because she was to read that article and she called us up and she said, "Guess what I just saw? And I think we're ready for this product." And so essentially that's how it then happened. Right. And so, you know what, even though we didn't walk away with any orders, we really walked away with this recognition that opened up doors. And so, yes, it definitely was something that we used, we leveraged off of that to market ourselves to, to the international buyers. And so that's how the international journey started. During this whole time, we were definitely 100% self-funded. So there was no funding from anybody else.
Yes. So just to mention, they didn't get funding from the company that I worked for.
We did not.
They did it by themselves, all on their own. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you guys didn't sell like shares of your company to some greedy investor and they take a stake in your company, because that happens a lot with these small businesses.
Yes, it does happen a lot. But you know what, you realize, as you're going into this business, especially when you really have very big ambitions to grow, that you might just have to do that. And I mean, it doesn't always end bad. It certainly does help because, as a small business, when you're growing, especially with us, who, you know, our business was growing much faster than our cash flow could handle, that we definitely needed patient capital. And because of Mo's Crib, I mean, you know, we manufacture homeware products made from recycled or environmentally non-invasive material. We get these raw materials ourselves, and so we are very much involved in the value chain. That when we have to get purchase order financing, which I'm sure you know about, they want to pay the suppliers directly. With us, it doesn't quite work well because we are working with the informal sector. There's no supplier that you're going to pay. Sometimes, it just does not work the way it's you know, the whole PO financing, the product is sought out. And so we had a partner who was really giving us PO financing, and that partner was someone that would eventually get equity investment in 2022. And so they eventually bought a stake in the company, and because we needed the patient capital for us to be able to grow our business, you know. But it was very important for us to go with somebody who we know that they've helped us when nobody couldn't, and they really were that partner. They really, really helped us, and they were very patient with us, you know, in the beginning. For people who knew nothing about funding, they really were patient, and they really helped us, you know, in the journey. And
they believed in your product. Just for people who don't know, so PVC is like a type of recyclable material. Is it like a plastic or? Yes.
It's a polyvinyl chloride. That's a PVC. And it's basically mostly used for construction. I mean, everybody knows the PVC. It's like a water pipe that's used in construction to hold either, you know, sewage, etc., or to hold pipe. So sometimes it's pipe underground, like for trains, etc. There's, you know, electrical pipe that has to be put through the PVC because of water does not go through it when it's obviously well connected. And so you find that this is actually one of the least recycled plastics in the world. And, you know, people who recycle don't want to take this PVC pipe because, number one, when it's burnt, it releases some you know, chemical gases in the environment that are very harmful to the environment. And number two, what do you do with PVC? They don't know what to do with it. So that's why it's one of the least recycled. And so whenever we go to the PVC manufacturers, we go to their backyards, we find heaps and heaps of pipe that's been lying there for years. They don't know what to do with it. And then we take that and we actually recycle that into beautiful you know, high-end baskets and planters.
And something that's like usable, you know. Doesn't just look nice, but like it's very functional as well. Does it feel like surreal, like the whole journey, like Mo's Crib? Because you guys are so big now. You guys have done so well for yourselves, and you started like really like grassroots level. So how does it feel? Like,
I definitely think that we've achieved a lot. I'm very proud of the strides that we've made, and particularly very proud of the resilience and the persistence. And the fact that we just continue going no matter how, you know, difficult it is and no matter how challenging it is. I think what is surreal for me when I think about the business in general is our team members. When I see our team members and how far we've come with them, we've got a team member, Fezile, who was actually hired by our mom as a house help. And, you know, in the week that my mom was about to pass away, she was at home taking care of my mom while we were at the market, because my mom was quite sick in the end. And so Fezile, when we came back to South Africa, she came to you know, to be a house helper for us. And while she was cleaning, after she cleaned, she would then pack boxes, you know, for Woolworths, etc., in the garage with us. And then when we got the warehouse, she came with us, and now she's a lead packager. And she has managed to buy herself a car. And then she's given that car to her husband to use as an Uber. And so now it's created double, you know, income in the household. And so seeing that and seeing where our employees started off, where they are now, the things that they're doing for themselves, that is for me what's most surreal. Because the grind is so difficult, and sometimes you just really miss the moments where you get the goosebumps and stuff. It doesn't feel like that because, you know, what everybody else sees is, you know, the highlight reel and what's really going well. We are in the background, and it's so difficult and it's so challenging. And, you know, it's a grind after grind after grind. You really just you only rest in December for like 2 weeks. And so I wonder if I've actually taken time to really look at it from that point to say, wow, look at what we've built. But certainly when I see our team members and you know, the impact that it's made in their lives, I'm just like, this is actually unbelievable, because something that my sister and I started as just a hobby, you know, has really turned into this. You know, has not just changed our lives, because it has certainly changed our lives, but it has definitely also made an impact in our packers, our artisans.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, that's for me what's most rewarding.
And I think the whole brand itself is just bigger than just the two of you. I'm sorry, but like we love it as well. It's a proudly South African brand. It's beautiful. I mean, you got the likes of like big name celebrities who are endorsing it, and they love it. And it's nice to read international articles. I mean, you were even featured on some, I think it was on International Women's Day. You guys were featured on some
Forbes.
talk show. Yes, on Forbes.
Also, yes, Forbes. Good Morning America. We're featured on the talk show Good Morning America. You know, the Entrepreneur Business Insider did a documentary on us. And the Good Morning America show was just so pivotal for our international, you know, brand awareness, I guess, because I remember when we got featured there, we had sent product because when we were launching at Crate and Barrel, our PR agency said, you need to put your website up and put some product, even if it's on back order. And we did that, and we shipped the container there. And we did not have money to be able to unload the container. And so when we got featured in Good Morning America, I remember in the morning, that afternoon, I was off to gym. And I was walking to gym. Yes, this was just shortly before I decided I want to be a mom. Yeah. And my sister said, okay, I think you're going to want to come back from gym right now. You're not going to go to gym because our website is off the charts. And so on that day alone, we made 300,000 Rand.
Yeah, just on that day alone.
Just on that day alone. And I mean, orders continued coming on. So 2 days later after that, we had to quickly fly to the US because people ordered. And here we are in South Africa. Who's going to deliver? I love how you say
we just had to quickly fly to the US.
We really had to fly immediately because, you know, here are people buying on the website that we thought nobody is going to know about. Yeah. And it was just so divine. I mean, I'm just so grateful for that moment. And, you know, from then on, a lot of articles that, you know, we just became a hit in the US and people started talking about us. And, you know, we went on to the US to offload the container and deliver the products. And, you know, to this day, we still have people that are ordering, you know, from Mo's Crib. And I mean, that was just divine. And I'm just so grateful for that, you know, for that feature. It did quite big numbers for Mo's Crib.
Yeah. How's it like working with your sister? Do you guys fight like normal sisters? Or?
No, I mean, we don't. Really? I can't remember the last time we had a fight.
Yeah.
But I think it also comes with maturity. When we started the business, there were some dynamics that we certainly were not aware that they're going to come up. The fact that she's an older sister and naturally as an older sister, you know, you have a way, how can I say it? There's a way in which, you know, you treat your younger sister. And so she was treating me like a younger sister in my own business. And so, you know, those were some dynamics that came up. And then I was like, oh my goodness, you know what? No, we just have to realign. And so I think the thing that helped us the most was that we decided that we are going to focus on our roles. Yes, because of, you know, she was treating me like, you know, a younger sister. And at some points, I would just step into her role, you know, and she'd be like, okay, but you're stepping into my role. And I'd just be like, why are you pushing me away from this? And so we had to really create those boundaries where I understood that, okay, you are the creative director and then I'm the operations director. I remember I came up with the roles. I'm the operations director, and then so this is what you will focus on. This is what I'll focus on.
And it's so funny that you mentioned operations director. And earlier on, you alluded to how that gentleman that you used to work with said you belong in operations.
Exactly.
And now you're in operations.
Exactly director. Right. And so he was very right. Shout out to Jacques. He was very right. And so you know, so that helped. And we just, you know what, I think my sister and I, first of all, are very close. So from the time that we were very young, we were very close. We had twin beds growing up. And my mom was so frustrated because she was like, I bought you guys twin beds, but you sleep on one single bed.
On the same bed, It's like,
why are you not using the other bed? And so that goes to speak of how close we were. So generally, we were very, very close. And, you know, we certainly had our own dynamics, even though, I mean, it was nothing to really even talk about because that was very minor compared to what other siblings go through. And then when we, you know, I think after separating the roles, we really had to be mature about things and we don't fight. We talk about things. You know, we discuss things. And I think one of the greatest joy, we've lost so much. You know, we've lost our mom, our dad. Our brother. And I think the greatest joy is that we knew it even before our parents passed away, that time is just so essential. And so we are so grateful that every single day, almost every single day, we get to spend time together.
Yes.
I will bump in. I will see her in the morning at the office, and then will go to maybe Sandton, and I'll go to Sandton and I'll not know that she's in Sandton, and I'll bump into her at Zara, and I'll be so surprised and shocked, like I've seen her 5 years ago. That's how much we just love one another, and we embrace one another, and we just we really have a real sisterhood. And so it's really a joy working with her. It's going to be one of my greatest joys, you know, at the end of my life, that I've managed to work with my sister, you know, for so long, and so beautifully as well, and we are just doing amazing things together.
How are you navigating mom life with all this business that you've got going on?
I don't even know.
You know,
I'm
navigating.
First of all, I'm very grateful for my nanny. She's amazing. I get to really just trust that Lwandle is being taken care of very, very well. She's enjoying her time at home, and it was very difficult for me. I mean, I did not know, because pregnancy time was so exciting for me. It was so fun, and I just enjoyed it. I was in my own little bubble. And once she came, I was just like, oh my goodness, now I have to, you know, navigate work, and how am I going to do it? How am I going to juggle? And I had to find, I mean, so many things change, and I'm sure you'd also agree that you really change. You don't know yourself anymore. I did not have a routine anymore, and I'm a very routine person. And it was just so overwhelming.
The first 2 years are bizarre.
Yes.
Like, what's happening?
Exactly. So it was very overwhelming. I had to find my feet, and I thought I did, and I realized, no, I didn't quite. But I think only now I'm just like easing into it. I'm like, okay, I think I'm comfortable with it because of, you know, I don't know if I dealt necessarily much with mom guilt because of I'm one person. I know I have to work, and I will like not even feel bad about the fact that I have to work, right? But, you know, I know that when I come home, I just have to basically be present and give her my attention, you know. And so I do that on weekends. I make sure that I'm present as much as I can be. And it also helps that I have a very, very supportive partner as well, who's, you know, very hands-on with the baby. So it really makes life easy. And I think I've got a very, very good support. In December, I sent Lwandle off to my sister for a couple of days, and I got to relax. And so, you know, the support definitely helps me. And I think being able to really just understand that, you know what, Monday to Friday, I'm busy. And if it means that I have to come home, be present for 2 hours, and from 9 to 10 p.m. I'm working, that's fine. That's what I do. And I make it work, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. So, like, just in closing, in the new year, 2025, is there anything that you're looking forward to, or what do you have planned for this new year?
For this new year, I tried not to put too many goals and lists, and I'm a goals list girl, and they always work. But I really wanted to just be very simple about it, say that I wanted to be more disciplined. You know, that is certainly what was my goal. And, you know, but just to elaborate more on that, I just want to be more activity based. So I'm looking forward to just, you know, horse riding for sure. I want to do that. That's what I want to really do more of this year. And on the business and professional side, I think that obviously, of course, scaling, you know, the business, most cribs, scaling the soul, want to have more branches with the sneaker laundry, and be more present as a mom, and have more activities with my daughter. That is beautiful. I enjoyed this conversation so much. Thank you. I don't think you realized at the beginning. I was like, oh no, my episodes are usually 30 minutes. You know, we're on an hour. What? We're on an hour. No, but it was beautiful. So thank you so much for coming, and all the best with Mo's Crib and Snow Sneaker and Momhood, everything. Yes, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. See you next time, guys. Bye.